Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a really highly requested topic from our sources, and that's the exact freelance paycheck routine designed specifically for 2026. Look, if you've been grinding away, dealing with those wild swings in your monthly revenue, and you're trying to hit that massive milestone, your first $100,000 in net worth, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Hitting that number with a regular income, man, it can feel like climbing a mountain with a backpack full of rocks. But today, we're going to unpack those rocks. We're using the source material we've gathered to build you a completely foolproof system.
So, picture this. You just landed a massive client. The contract is signed, the invoice is sent out, and boom, that huge deposit finally hits your checking account. For a split second, it literally feels like you've won the lottery, right? You are feeling rich. But if you're a freelancer navigating the realities of 2026, you know deep down that this feeling is actually kind of dangerous. Our sources highlight that the unwinding of digital market cycles and broad economic uncertainty are, frankly, always just around the corner. If you treat this income like an afterthought, just paying bills haphazardly or spending what merely feels right in the moment, you're going to wake up at the end of the month and realize there is absolutely nothing left to save.
And honestly, this comparison brilliantly illustrates exactly why we get stuck. Traditional 9-to-5 financial advice is completely broken for us. Standard advice assumes you have a steady, predictable paycheck, which lets you get away with relatively low cash reserves. But the 2026 freelance reality, it's defined by volatile, unpredictable income. That means we require massive buffers and incredibly strict financial systems. Basically, if you don't have a system, you don't have an excuse. You just have a recipe for burnout.
Okay, let's dive into this step-by-step blueprint. We're going to cover the reality trap, survival and automation, building your cash flow engine, building the boring stack, and finally, scaling beyond hourly. Let's get right into it. Starting with Part 1, Survival and Automation. It is time to stop treading water. So, when that deposit clears, before you even think about upgrading your laptop or buying a new camera lens or treating yourself to an expensive dinner, you have got to secure the foundation. Your absolute first priority is covering your minimum payments on any outstanding debt. Notice the single vital number here, 65%. Because a massive 65% of your credit score is based entirely on your payment history and your overall debt levels. This phase isn't just about paying what you owe, it's about aggressively protecting your financial reputation. In a volatile economy, your credit score is literally your safety net for securing housing, getting favorable insurance rates, or accessing emergency business capital.
And we need to be really specific about the dangerous debts lurking in your finances right now. We're talking about credit cards and student loans, of course, but heavily highlighted in our sources for 2026 are Buy Now, Pay Later, or BNPL loans. Guys, these are incredibly risky for freelancers. Missing even one of these seemingly harmless, bite-sized BNPL payments can absolutely wreck your credit score overnight. It's just not worth it.
To make this survival phase foolproof, we have to automate everything. Because as humans, we make terrible financial decisions when we process things manually. We want to remove human error entirely. So, I challenge you, take just 15 minutes after watching this explainer to design your environment so the right behaviors happen naturally. Set all those minimum debt payments to autopay. Automatic savers consistently hit their targets for one really simple psychological reason: you cannot spend money that you never actually see in your checking account.
Moving on to Part 2, the cash flow engine, and setting up your operating budget.
Since your personal and business lives are so intertwined as a freelancer, you need to know exactly what your freelance life costs to run every single month, literally down to the dollar. Our sources recommend starting with the classic 50-30-20 baseline. 50% for your absolute needs, 30% for your wants, and 20% earmarked for savings and investments. However, if you are living in a high-cost area in 2026, you need to be realistic here. Your needs slice might practically look closer to 60%. The actionable takeaway: if a $5,000 deposit hits your account today, you should immediately transfer the exact portion needed for your rent, utilities, and transportation into a totally separate account. You've got to secure the necessities first.
Once that operating budget is funded, we hit the emergency fund.
Listen, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, hear this. The old 3-month rule is completely dead for independent workers. Irregular income in the volatile market of 2026 requires a supersized buffer. The new target is 4 to 6 months of living expenses minimum. And honestly, you want to push that to 12 months if you're after ultimate bulletproof mental freedom.
But you don't just want to stuff this cash under a mattress.
You need to park your supersized emergency fund in a high-yield savings account. Now, our 2026 sources note that rates have hovered down to around 3 to 3.5%, but let's be super clear. That still effortlessly beats the near zero returns you're going to get at a traditional brick-and-mortar bank. It keeps your cash totally accessible, but it's actively working for you to outpace inflation.
All right, part 3, wealth generation and building what we call the boring stack.
See, building wealth is actually a savings game, not just a flashy investing game. Your savings rate is the single biggest predictor of your long-term success. It is time to pay your future self first. Looking at the 2026 limits, if you have access to a solo 401k or similar account, you've got a $24,500 limit offering tax-deferred growth. Otherwise, max out a Roth IRA at $7,500 for completely tax-free growth. Oh, and a quick pro tip from our sources, if your freelance income explodes past the Roth limits, utilize the backdoor Roth method. It's essentially a legal loophole allowing you to convert after-tax money into a Roth IRA so it can grow completely tax-free. Just keep funding that wealth slowly and steadily.
Which brings us to part 4, scaling beyond hourly rates and disconnecting your time. If you truly want to grow your net worth fast and leave that daily grind behind, you must disconnect your time from your earnings. If you're strictly renting out your time for an hourly rate, your income is permanently capped by the number of hours you can manage to stay awake. And this is backed by some incredible data. 65% of self-made millionaires have at least 3 distinct streams of income. You need to pursue activities that pay based on performance and assets, not just your clock-in time. Start looking really closely at how you can build equity in a business, build a recognizable brand, invest for dividends, create digital products, or even pivot to high-level consulting.
Now, before we wrap up this system, our source offers a fantastic psychological wealth hack for all you freelancers out there who get easily tempted by the latest tech. It's called the 1% rule for gear. Here's how it works. You must force a 24-hour pause on any discretionary purchase that exceeds 1% of your total net worth. So, if your net worth is $20,000, that $200 gadget requires you to sleep on it for a full day. This absolutely kills emotional spending and keeps your capital working for you in your boring stack.
So here is your actionable homework for this week based on today's explainer. First, pull your bank statements from the last 3 months. Second, calculate the exact gap between your income and your expenses. Because if that gap isn't actively growing, your system is failing. To fix it, you need to perform a strict subscription audit and ruthlessly hunt down and cut those zombie services you completely forgot you're even paying for.
And that brings us to our final question for you today. Are you ready to choose the vanilla path to sustainable wealth? Look, building true wealth isn't about getting lucky on a single stock pick or landing one viral client. It's about committing to this slow, boring, systematic path to riches. If you are a true long-term thinker and you're ready to optimize that very next deposit, drop the word vanilla in the comments below. Take control of your systems, automate your survival, and go build that boring stack. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next explainer.